What's the gossip?
Gossip in the Grove.
What's the gossip?
Gossip in the Grove.
What's the gossip?
Welcome to Gossip in the Grove podcast.
Hello and welcome to Gossip in the Grove. I'm your host, Tracy Cunningham.
And I'm your co-host, Scarlett Mayfield.
And today our special guests are our friends from Hopkinsville, Christian County, Jamie Lienberger and real estate agent Paul Irwin. Welcome to Gossip in the Grove. So today we're going to mix it up just a little bit. We're talking tourism, local experiences, and a little bit of a real estate flavor, because where people vacation and where people want to live are becoming more connected than ever. So let's get into it. If Hopkinsville was a weekend getaway, what's the first feeling you want people to have when they arrive?
I'd like it to be welcoming. I'd like people to, when they arrive to town, say, this is where I want to shop. I want to buy a gift for grandma when I go home. I want to have a great meal experience. And I want to see what the niche is of Hopkinsville. I really want that feeling that just embodies a small town cool vibe.
So how long have you lived in Hopkinsville?
I've lived in Hopkinsville since July 2019.
Okay. So what brought you to Hopkinsville? Where are you from and what brought you to Hopkinsville?
Economics
Okay.
brought me to Hopkinsville, and I also have active duty sons.
Oh, wonderful. Are they stationed here at Fort Campbell?
One is, yes, ma'am.
Nice, nice. We always like to hear that.
Yes.
You know, close to our hearts there. Because our big festival, is right around the corner, and we salute Fort Campbell.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what's something in Hopkinsville that makes visitors literally slow down and say, okay, I didn't expect that? What about you, Paul? You have an answer for that one?
I'm like, I took the first question.
I probably could come up with something. That's really a tough one. I'm from Hopkinsville, born and raised. So to me, it's kind of like, I saw this town before it really had anything. I'm not that old, but we weren't riding horses or anything like that. I think the small town feel, even though it's really not in my mind a small town anymore, I think that's something that really would grab people. If you're coming through and for whatever reason you stop in Hopkinsville, I think it's a place that people could see a little tranquility and kind of a safe haven, and they might even think, hey, this could be better than where we live in Kansas or Oregon or wherever they came from. I think it's just for me probably, there's a special a place in my heart because that's where I was born. But for somebody who's never been there that comes in, I think just the small town feel of it, it kind of would capture people's, attention and make them think that this could be a good place for me.
So you've lived in Hopkinsville all your life then?
Yes.
Okay. And your real estate company is?
I work for Advantage Realtors
Okay.
In Hopkinsville. Our office is on South Virginia Street in Hopkinsville. I have been there since the beginning of my real estate career, which I got licensed about 4 years ago. So that's where I have been since the beginning, and I don't plan to change that up.
Okay. Now, how did you two meet and become connected and stuff?
She knocked on my door one day, and I was like,
Oh,
what is this
okay.
I need your help.
I actually did need her help with something that was she was on the city council at the time, and I did need her help with an issue that was going on.
Okay.
And I reached out to her, and I live in her ward. The property that had the issue was in our ward, and she handled it.
Okay.
It was taken care of. Everybody was happy at the end of the day. So we've kind of stayed in touch since then.
Okay.
And she recently was out doing some campaign stuff, and we kind of reconnected and hadn't seen her, and
Nice.
started talking, and here we are.
Nice, nice. That's a good story.
I
I
figured
like
if, you're,
these little good stories.
if you're coming onto a podcast, it's always good to bring
Absolutely,
a partner. in
yeah,
there.
absolutely.
A buffer in case you don't
that's
know
right.
what to say.
That's what I always like to say.
Take this question. Yeah.
So, because tourism is and living in a place often tourism and stuff overlap. What do you think makes someone go from visiting Hopkinsville for a weekend to thinking, I could actually live here? Is it the affordability in
You
Hopkinsville?
want me to take this one?
Lifestyle?
I think we could both. weigh
Okay,
in.
y'all both
I,
just.
I think
let me have
yes, definitely affordability. I think that Hopkinsville has some great housing choices. Every community everywhere has housing issues right now with affordable housing, and Hopkinsville is no different. They have challenges.
Oak Grove does too.
Right.
We have some challenges.
Right, there's
yeah.
challenges everywhere, and a lot of that's tied to the economy, of course. But I think the affordability and the feel, the friendliness, and we have, in my opinion, the education system there is the education.
I was going to
got-
ask about the schools
the
and education.
that
Yeah.
I got I feel like it was a really good education. So the public schools, every school system has issues, but I think as a whole we have really good schools. We have really good housing. There are a lot of things that would make someone think, hey, this is a place I could see myself. Now you go.
Well, it's my turn. We have some great housing opportunities. I think sometimes because my sons are in the military and coming to Hopkinsville and learning about some of the history and the way it had treated military service members in the past.
In the 60s?
In the 60s,
Yes.
yes ma'am. It's 2026.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of military service members, one of my son included, when he first purchased his home here in Oak Grove, Christian County, so he goes to the court's office and he says, I need to register my vehicle, classic 1968 Mustang. The clerk says, that'll be $2,500 here.
Ouch.
If you go into Tennessee,
I was gonna say they allow you, no matter where you live, to do either or. and
Because
most of
military,
them, yep,
yes.
most of them
yes.
do Tennessee because it's
it costs him about, I want to think, about $50.
Yeah.
He has a lifetime plate. So we as Hopkinsville, Christian County, we appreciate the military, I feel, in lip service or a one-off. We don't, and we do it as a marketing technique. We don't do it in an actual support our military. We say you can come live here, but then we're going to tax you a lot of money to live here. I think some taxes, property tax abatement for our military service members who come here to serve our military and they're looking for a house to live in. Hopkinsville is a great option. It's quieter. It's still close to the base. It's not Clarksville, but it is got some great vibes to it. And I think if we do something like that, we can be a little more pro-military in our actual support. But we need to open that up to active duty, recently separated from the military. I've met a lot of people recently that are wrapping up their military career looking for places to live. We don't really offer them something that they could come and call Hopkinsville home. And I think we missed the mark there.
Do you think it's because of the real estate market that the houses are not, they're not building, or is it complicated? Is it because of the taxes, or is it there more to it, not only the taxes? Like the subdivisions, who's building, and are they building enough homes? And
Well, there is a housing loss. We don't have enough housing. We're sitting at about 3,000 houses shortage. We build in such a way that we are not making communities walkable. We don't have a planned subdivision, or we don't have a planned community. And they are not in an affordable market where I see E4s to E7s buying. They need to be somewhere in that $180,000 to $220,000 market. They're not. And you need some housing that's a little less than that. And there needs to be, I hear a lot about rent to own, and sometimes what I know of rent to own, it can be a scam. But we need to have some flexibility with either rental agreements or lease agreements, because the military is here for a short amount of time and then they PCS somewhere else. We need to be able to help spouses get jobs while they're here, fast track that. The high school is a great thing now. It's 4 academies. It's a fantastic environment to get children ready for college and beyond, whether they're staying here or going somewhere else. And I always encourage people, if you live here, go somewhere, visit somewhere else, get an education, bring your talent, bring your skills back. And I always see that it's just sad sometimes that we miss the mark of what we have, and we have a great opportunity to expand on that. And
How would you expand on it?
how would I expand on it? It's probably going to take anywhere from 5 to 10 years to fix this problem. You have to stabilize your loss of population. We can talk about upgrades, but I don't think upgrades are the first go-to. We have to stop the depletion of the population. So we need to take our vacant land, the current land that we have along certain corridors, whether it's the north-south corridor, Fort Campbell, Oak Grove to Clarksville, we need to take that area. We can put commercial pads out front and put townhomes and apartment homes behind those, have a walkable environment, a walkable neighborhood for families. Keep it entry level where military members can purchase a home, give them some property tax abatements, make it open to active duty, recently separated, retirees. And then your second phase would be more of a planned subdivision. And there's Princeton Road, Katie's Road, out that direction. You've got land out there that could absolutely be built, but you need to start where state infrastructure. So there's a $19.8 million project that's coming down the pipeline in some of around Hopkinsville, and these would be great opportunities where planned communities, a fully managed rental community could be built, and you could bring people into the neighborhoods. You not only need to support the neighborhoods that you have, but you need to grow your city, because there are businesses that don't come to populations the size of Hopkinsville because they won't be supported by the amount of people that we have.
And they have lost some people in Hopkinsville. The population has went down. I did see that.
Our population has declined by 4.5% over the last decade, and we lose 0.3 people, 0.3% annually.
And you can't ignore the jobs. I mean, jobs that's a huge part of the equation.
Yep.
We have to have higher paying jobs. You know, you probably know better than me as far as the breakdown of what sector the jobs are in Hopkinsville. I mean, I'm just guessing it's probably mostly retail, hospitality. A factory is huge, and then of course military. But we have to have more than that to sustain.
Yep.
People aren't going to stay if they can't make a good living.
One of the major manufacturing groups that we have in Hopkinsville is automotive. So do we remember the automotive strike that we had a couple of years ago? So people in Hopkinsville were out of jobs, out of work 6, 8, 10 weeks because we have manufacturers in town that make the steering wheel column and the components for that for a multitude of car manufacturers. They make buttons and knobs and other components. So because there was no automotive, all the manufacturing shut down. So we rely heavily on a specific sector of manufacturing. I think we need to diversify that. We have a kitchen foods company coming into town. They make frozen meals. They're working on coming into town.
I saw that.
But at the same time, we need to open up our eyes and look at other things. Green energy, not so green, not so wonderful for the environment. But there are other things that are manufactured out there that we could say, hey, look at our city. We have a great infrastructure. We have a housing pool. We have an employment pool. We have military spouses looking for jobs. Could we fast track a pipeline for an employment for our military spouses? Because when military members, service members move, yes, we support the service member, but how do we support the spouse, be it a man or woman, And how do we support the children? And some of those children are older, maybe they're looking for a part-time job. How do we support the whole military family and the whole military community?
It's interesting, huh? So on the real estate side, do you see homes that's for sale and that they're turning into Airbnbs?
We actually,
I mean,
We had this
just
conversation.
had a conversation
Yeah.
about Airbnbs. In Hopkinsville, honestly, in what I do every day, I don't see a huge amount of that. In other places like Katie's, where you have the lake there, I mean, Airbnbs are huge. Up until really recently, when her and I were discussing this, I really didn't realize how many Airbnbs there are, but it does seem like there is a large amount, and she can tell you better because she was just out, pounding the pavement, and she ran into some of these buildings that used to be single-family houses, and now they're 2 and 3 and 4 unit Airbnbs. And we were kind of discussing earlier, like, what is bringing the
that's
people?
the tourism too.
Right,
That
right.
I mean, the tourism industry, they'll look at if they want to go someplace or whatever. A lot of times, yeah, they'll still look at the hotels, but they really are looking at Airbnbs now.
Right, and there's a huge advantage.
Yeah,
to
and
that.
there is a huge advantage of Airbnbs. So
I mean, the price is better most of the time. You've got the whole place to yourself. You can cook your meals. You can bring your pets. I mean, I told her earlier, when we've been on vacation, I mean, I look at Vrbo, Airbnb before I look at hotels because we would much rather have our own personal space and be kind of like a home away from home rather than being in, an elevator going up 5 floors and, smells and all kinds of great things. that
Other
you see.
people.
Other people.
Other
Oh my
people.
gosh.
okay, so let's talk a little bit about festivals because we have like 3. Actually, we have 3 big signature events here in Oak Grove, and Hopkinsville has the Summer Salute. So, bringing visitors in, but they also bring attention to neighborhoods. How do events, entertainment, and the tourism energy influence how people view real estate in Hopkinsville? Does it make certain areas desirable over time or not?
I would say that it definitely helps, and especially like our historic areas downtown, because most of the events happen downtown. So as people are leaving those, they can see these great big colonial houses and houses with hundreds of years of history. And I mean, you see that in a lot of places, but I think that we have an abundance of them, and they actually go for sale quite often. I mean, you'd be surprised how often they sell. But I think that definitely, those festivals and that historic segment of housing, I think they go together. People see that and they're like, wow, this is a really cool place. Maybe we should dig into this and get some more information on Hopkinsville.
Yeah. And I think you have to promote that. I've been in some cities where a downtown district, if a historic building is now, let's say, a restaurant or an Airbnb or a grocery store or something, there's a plaque basically on the exterior of the building with an original picture with a brief paragraph, maybe 3 sentences, something you can read while you're walking by that says, this used to be such and such. And then that ties the historic history, the historicalness of your city to your people who are visiting it. Because there are a lot of people that are history buffs. They look at old architecture and they see 1863 stamped on a building. Oh, what did this building used to be in 1863? And sometimes there's no markers, it's just a stamp that that's when it was built. And so it's nice to tie the past into the present because you get those people who they come for a festival and maybe they're nearing retirement or they're...
Yeah, because I was going to ask you on that one, when they go there, do they see, and so the housing, so do you think that's one of the reasons why, hey, this is a really cool, and I think, I'm getting ready to retire, should I retire in this area? Do you think it's like the downtown development that you think that they would want to become a resident of Hopkinsville? Because the development of downtown, the dining, outdoor recs. I mean, what do you think that it would feel like home to them if they were ready to retire and that you wanted them to come back and say, hey, you need to move into Hopkinsville and grow our population?
Yeah, I think we have an abundance of parks. There's a lot of family spots. We have dog park. There's a lot of things that probably other cities either don't have, or maybe the city that they are visiting from is so big that there's already 20 people every time they go to the dog park. So they say, well, we're not going to go today, Fido, sorry. So I think it goes back to, kind of that small town feel, and the amenities that we have that should, help them or attract them to Hopkinsville.
Walkability. Your city has to have a walkability aspect to it.
Because they have the track.
The trail.
Yeah, the trail, and they're adding on to that. Am I
The
correct?
rail trail, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yep. So you have to have that walkability in a city, and someone may buy a home in a historic district that's a few, maybe 2 or 3 blocks from downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Sidewalks and things like that need to be accessible to your retirees or even your younger population, children, toddlers pushing a stroller, and have an area where they can get to with ease accessibility. And so and then when you have the downtown and you have all those festivals going on, you also have to have a sense of ease of use to get to certain places, because we have a lot of things downtown, be it an eatery or a little park. We have things down there, entrance to the rail trail next to the library. So you need to have things that make it easy for people and have them look at it and think, well, this is really cool to visit. Let's look at houses. I could live here, and envision themselves living here. They like the small town vibe, but they do like the accessibility and the feel that even though you are a smaller community, and maybe small town vibe's the wrong terminology, but it does give you a sense of home, because you can walk out your front door and your neighbor will say, hi neighbor, or how are you doing? And we'll drive down the street and people wave at you and you know who lived here, or you know the history of a certain building or location.
So downtown, the development, where do you see that going? I mean, it's none of the places are like closing. Like some of these cities, some of the downtowns, like the Main Street stuff, they have really cute boutiques or whatever. Some of them are just closing down. It's making their downtown almost like a ghost town. Tell me about Hopkinsville's downtown. Is there anything that you would change? Would you add to, take away, to make it more, people drive these people downtown?
Downtown Hopkinsville has had a flux of businesses have left due to personal circumstances. They've left. Those buildings have been now reoccupied by little companies like for prom dresses and things like that. There's a consignment shop downtown. There's a antique shop downtown, and then there's like a vendor's mall. They have lots of different
I didn't know that.
aspects of, you can go in there and buy furniture, antiques, things like that. It's quite unique. However, when people come downtown, and this deals with tourism, when you come downtown, now I'm in an Airbnb, I've flown in, maybe a friend of mine has brought me here, I may or may not have a rental car, I may or may have arrived late, I don't want to go out to Walmart. There is no little grocer downtown or a convenience store downtown. And I've always thought that having a small market downtown with accessibility to milk and orange juice and like prepackaged snacks or meals or fresh deli, something where you could just pop down from your Airbnb and be like, oh crap, I forgot a travel size packet of ketchup or something. There's nothing like that downtown. We do have pizza places and things like that, but they're a block off, and that's great because that will bring people to that city center. But there are some great multi-use buildings that could be used for small retail shops, grocery store, living, parking. there's a huge opportunity in my. I have a dream and I have a vision. My pockets aren't deep enough. But
I was going to say that's probably maybe a little bit of money's there to do that.
But I
It's like,
but I have a
yeah,
vision.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You
Right,
have a
but-
vision. So
And also, here's the thing: the it might not be as expensive as you might imagine because we already have some buildings there that are existing. They already have all of the utilities accessible. They have everything. The top floor might be empty. It might be used for storage. Those could be converted to condos, apartments. So we do have some of that already, and I think that that could be cheaper than actually building a whole new subdivision. But I mean, it's going to take some deep pockets no matter what to make some changes down there. And there's a lot of old buildings. There's a lot of great stuff downtown. But parking is also a huge issue.
I think that's every downtown, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, every city that I go to in downtown, the parking is a nightmare because there's not enough.
There isn't.
There's not enough parking.
And that's the side B is you want people to come downtown. You want tourism downtown. You want people to attend a festival. The municipality wants a well-attended festival. Yet people are just, where am I going to park? I've got grandma, or I've got 3 kids and a stroller and all this stuff. I've got to park 3 blocks off and then hike it in.
Right.
I may not want to do that. And yet at the same time, you want your downtown to be walkable. And if you have bustling traffic here and there, and trust me, downtown Hopkinsville, as much as we love it, it can be a little crazy at times with traffic flow or the people running the red lights and the stop signs and pedestrians trying to jaywalk and all that stuff. So you have to be careful of that. So how do you, and that's one thing that people are, traffic and speeders and this and that. How do you get people to understand that this is a walkable downtown? We want to be safe, and we don't want the government to step in and say, I'm here to mandate this and that and the other thing and put speed bumps and all this other stuff. But yet at the same time, there has to be a happy medium of get people out, not just for festivals, but for
residents
just
yeah,
come out and have a good time. And recently we did. We had a Friday night that was, we had music at different locations throughout the city.
How is that going? How is that good? I mean, is it picking up?
It is. It was well attended. A lot of times, I think the music was almost going on simultaneously. So there were some comments where people just said it was hard to get from point A to point B, but they were able to grab the music from the different locations. And I know I have not participated in the downtown walking, drinking, sip and stroll thing, but we do have that. So I don't know how that is going, but I know that could bring people into the downtown because maybe you want to park and have an appetizer and have a drink and go to the next place and listen to some music or play bingo and stuff. So we do have things going on. Sometimes this is my personal complaint sometimes, is when I shop downtown, I go and the business is open. And I'm like, all right, great, caught a business open. I shop. And then I'll think, I want to go downtown and get XYZ. And I go and I'm like, they're closed today. Well, they were open. And I think, they were open last week on a Tuesday, or maybe they're closed on Monday, Tuesday, or they're closed Tuesday, Wednesday. And so there is, to me, and this was when I first moved here too, even it's coming as an outsider, let's say, I had a hard time differentiating when businesses were open. There was no set schedule, and they all seemed to follow. Like if one group of stores was open, if the boutiques were open, then the eateries were open. Or if the eateries were open, then the comic shop was open. Or the retiree had the antique shop open. So it was very difficult. I've since learned to navigate that. But I think someone coming as a tourist would be like, this looks like a cute shop. It's not open, and we're not going to be in town.
I gotcha. I see that. Wow. Scarlett, you got some questions?
I did, and then I was listening, and I lost all the questions I was thinking of.
Oh my goodness! We didn't answer them.
No, I mean you probably did. To be honest, that's probably why I lost them. But No.
You weren't sleeping over there, right?
No, I wasn't. I was drinking my water and listening. I mean, I do always ask, like, sometimes what is the, and I know we did talk about a lot of the different challenges. I know you touched on a lot of challenges with military and stuff. But I guess, I mean, and it can be either from Hopkinsville side or retail side, what would be like the biggest challenge you think? You know, why is there a shortage? Why is it such a challenge, or what is that challenge?
As far as the downtown goes, you know, kind of like what, to touch on what she was saying, if you have a business and you don't have the customers to sustain you being open every day, that's not a good business environment. The example she used is perfect. If you're in from town or from out of town and you're only here for 3 days, and you say, "Hey, I really want to go to this boutique," and they're not open, that's not going to leave the best impression in that visitor's mind. But at the same time, you can't really put blame on the shop owner. I mean, they have to do what they have to do, what makes sense for them. So it all goes back to shopping local. Yeah, me personally, especially these days, I would much rather buy whatever I'm shopping for in Hopkinsville than to drive to Clarksville. You know, when I was younger, everybody was, let's just drive to Clarksville. The selection's better, and even though the taxes are higher, that's just where, and I think that people still do that a lot. So the biggest thing, I think we have to get people to shop locally and then support these shop owners, and that way they will be open when the visitors come in for whatever festival, that they've come for. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge is, how do you get people to stay local and shop local? And I think some of these mixed-use building ideas that could help. I mean, if you think about it, even going back to like the cowboy days, all of these buildings that were built with this in mind. You have your main level when you walk in, it's a restaurant or a saloon or whatever, and then you can go upstairs and there's either hotels or apartments. I think it would be great if, and it's not like we're stealing big city ideas, we're really going back to basics, because that's the way that things were built originally back in the day. That's kind of how things should still be, or we need to try to get back to that. So if you live in a building where there's a restaurant and a convenience store and a grocery store, like she was saying earlier, you don't have to get in your car and drive far away to get milk, or if you need something for, a recipe, some eggs, you just walk downstairs or jump on the elevator.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I mean, I know you say like stealing big city ideas, but I mean, I've seen it in big cities where they have like the Target or the grocery store or whatever, and then above that you can clearly tell that people live there or whatever. And I don't think it's like,
I think isn't that in the bigger cities that we see that?
It is. That's what we were
like
talking
really,
about.
really
Like
big
I
cities,
think I think the first time I saw it was in, I don't remember if it was Chicago or New York or even Miami maybe, but
it was probably New York.
But it was a bigger city, but I mean that does make. I mean, I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great if we would build up instead of building out.
And there's not a hotel downtown either, and
Right.
a lot of these other cities have hotels in the middle of their downtown, which also brings in.
And if you bring the multi-use building to a downtown that has shop owners with limited hours, you bring multi-use buildings, now you've got loft apartments upstairs or condos that people, maybe they want to rent it, maybe they'd like to purchase it. A condo does not have to be hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. It can be moderately priced entry-level home. Now you're bringing those people to downtown. You have a walkable downtown. You've got all these shops. You've got a little convenience store, possibly a smaller grocery store, places to go get a snack, have a cup of coffee, a park to sit, enjoy, read your paper. You can build a viable downtown, and tourism, when tourists come to town, they're just like, whoa, look at this downtown. This is so cute and adorable. Let's go get a muffin. Let's get a coffee. Let's take a stroll. Let's have a drink. Let's play some
I always love when we're at meetings or conferences and stuff. I always love to visit if they have a downtown. I always love to go and walk their downtown. And because they have the cutest little shops, some of the cutest little shops, and then of course the coffee and the the little coffee shops and stuff, and so that was always something that I really wish Oak Grove had a downtown.
I do too.
I do. I do. I do.
I love downtowns.
And because what I could do with that, but unfortunately we don't. So that's why I just always want to pick your brain to say, you're downtown, Hopkinsville's downtown.
And when I travel, I really enjoy a downtown, not only that has walkability, but that also has outdoor seating right outside.
Right.
Yeah.
2 fences, metal fences put up, a couple table and chair setups. I can go to the maitre d' and table for 2, can we sit outside? Absolutely.
Yeah.
The waiter comes out, you get your drinks, you get your meal, you sit outside. You're on the sidewalk, but you can still have the music. Maybe they've got lights in the trees on the downtown streets and things like that, and you can enjoy that vibe. And sometimes that actually slows the traffic down because they see people.
And going, what is
And they're like, well, what is that? I want to go back, circle the
Yeah,
block.
circle
and-
around. Where can I park? Oh crap! There's no parking places. I had to get that in there. So much for that. I think I'm just going to go on my
We're
way.
gonna go on. Exactly. But there's so much possibility. And I think sometimes we just get stuck in a trench of tradition, or this is the way it's always been, or an expert tells us how it should be. And we, as local communities, can sit around a table and we have a vision for bringing tourism in. We have a vision for growing our cities. And yet I think that opportunity is missed because we're thinking, well, let's just let the experts handle it. And in my line of work, I work in the wastewater industry, and an expert in my field is a drip under pressure. So sometimes we shouldn't rely on the expert.
Yeah.
We need to trust our own instincts and trust our own experiences and bring those to life and say, this is my idea, here it is on pen and paper or in voice, and share our story and let our story then become the history of what we're creating.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think anyone should ever hold back any ideas because you never know what that idea could turn into.
Exactly.
For sure.
But sometimes we do because we're just
You're
afraid.
scared. Yep.
Well, what are they going to think about my idea? Are they going to
What
think it's stupid?
the
or-
worst thing they can do is say, nope, I don't agree with that, and then okay, well, you know what, you threw it out there. At
Yeah.
least you threw it out there,
And,
right?
and me being me would be like, okay, you don't agree with my idea. However, can we
you're gonna argue with them.
can we debate? Can we debate what you
know
don't
her
What
like?
you don't like, what you do like.
What you do like?
Yeah,
Like maybe
yeah.
there's something in my idea that you immediately didn't like, therefore you shut down.
Yeah.
But what if part of my idea did you like? Or tell me your ideas, and let's say, where can we, oh my God, compromise?
Meet in the middle.
Meet
Yeah.
in the middle.
Meet in the
So
middle.
700 feet for your house to mine. Let's find let's find a happy medium
Yeah.
and just create something amazing. I think sometimes the human connection is lost. And we need to
agree.
sit around a table and do something like this and just be like, hey,
Just conversate.
just conversate.
Yeah.
We've
Hey, what do you
lost
think
that.
about this? What do you think about this?
I don't like it.
Yeah.
at all.
I'm gonna poo-poo all y'all's idea.
Fine. It's the last time I pitched my ideas. Like,
You just sit over there and be quiet.
Who asked your opinion anyway?
Well, I do think that the people of Hopkinsville and Christian County as a whole are really friendly, and that kind of goes back to the question you asked a few questions ago. I think that's something that visitors can kind of zero in on. Like, people here are really nice.
They are.
You know,
Yes.
and then I was raised, you hold the door open for people. And it's so funny when you go to big cities. I mean, I travel all the time. I love to travel. And you go to a big city like, I don't want to pick on anybody, but let's just say Chicago, and you hold the door. They look at you like, what's this guy up to?
Yeah.
Like, that's just not, that's a southern,
That's true.
It's a southern
Yeah.
thing,
And New York, we get that from New
I was
York.
gonna
Oh,
say,
yeah.
if you go to New York,
yeah.
they shoulder check
Oh,
you
yeah.
when you're walking, and it's just ridiculous. It's like, no, excuse me, they don't care. They will shoulder check you and keep on going. Like,
And you're all going into the same building.
Yeah.
literally, yeah, like it's
Get out of my way.
crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. So my parents, when they raised my brother and I, there were certain things that were just standard operating procedures. You held the door, people walk into the room, you stand up. If they're older than you, hold the door. And I remember I was at a doctor's appointment and I held the door. A lady was coming in and I said, "Young lady," I said, "are you here for a doctor's appointment?" "Yes, I am." I said, "Well, I'm going to hold the door for you." So I held the outside door, held the inside door. I said, "Well, you just check in, someone will be right with you." She's like, "Okay." And then as I had to come back out to my vehicle for something, and the person who had drove her said, "You know what? I just want to let you know, you made my mom's day."
Aww.
And I was like, "Really?" And she goes, "Yeah, you just called her young lady, and you didn't bat an eye that it took her almost 5 minutes to get to the door or what she was." I said, "You know what? Everybody needs to know that some person, just one person cares." And sometimes in Hopkinsville you get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just one person cares and will step out and be the gap and step in that gap and be the bridge to make someone feel at welcome and at home. And I believe that's what people get. And that encourages tourism because then you talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's where
you're
things
saying-
happen is in conversation.
That's right.
Yeah, even when we were talking about like the housing and the moving there and being in neighborhoods. My mom lives in Hopkinsville. I don't. I live in Clarksville, but I will say their downtown is hectic compared to Hopkinsville. It's, but anyways, so she lives in Hopkinsville and like she actually, I think most of the neighbors know each other. She literally will walk across the street. She's best friends with one of her neighbors. I mean, they talk all the time. They even came up with a system when they let their dogs out because her dog doesn't do well with other dogs. So now all the neighbors have a system where they hang a curtain up. So if the curtain's up, don't take your dog out because the other dog is out. And it's so funny when I listen to her just talk about all her different neighbors and all the things. And I'm like,
It's a different kind of vibe,
it is.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And just for the record, I have nothing against Clarksville. I still have. I'm
You had to
licensed
get
in
that in
Tennessee.
there.
So
Hey,
that
I have a neighbor who brings me egg cartons, so my neighbors are cool too. I promise.
So the gossip in the Grove is that the co-host doesn't actually live in the Grove.
That is the
Yep,
gossip.
That
I
is
do
the
not-
gossip.
I believe she's trying to work on getting to Christian County somewhere.
we
Yeah,
can
we've
find
been
you a house.
We can find your house.
See, we got a real estate person right there. He'll get you into a house, Carla. This has been fun. This has been educational too. I mean, with you guys on Hopkinsville and Christian County and stuff. And so, tell us more of what you guys. I mean, give us some other ideas and what you want to say to Gossip in the Grove and the listeners out there. Is there anything that you guys like to talk about?
Go ahead. You have 30 pages of notes. So I'll let you start.
Yeah, in my preparation, I was all over the chart, and I know you're going to edit, so I did not want to come in political.
Yeah.
So I stayed away from that. But at the same time, I would like citizens to know that you need to be active in your community, whether it is encouraging tourism, encouraging people to come visit, whether they're your family or a neighbor or your buddy from the service, like, "Hey man, I live here, come let's go here." You need to encourage people to come visit your hometown or the town in which you live and make home. And I understand there are a lot of people who this is their hometown, and I understand there are also people who come from out of town and have made this their home. You need to encourage that. And people, when they live in their town, they need to be active. Whether it is in supporting the festivals, supporting local businesses, supporting municipal government. Everyone has the privilege to vote. Use those opportunities to speak up, to be heard, to pass ideas, sit at coffee shops and have conversations of how can I better my block? How can I help my neighbors? The towel and the curtains, that's a great idea. Like, let's manage how we walk our dogs today. So, but those all began with conversations. And that's where you need to get back to. So my advice to people listening, just be active, be supportive, be the person that smiles first, not the person that smiles back. That is always my advice to people. And beyond that, look them in the eye. They'll never know what you're wearing. Just be confident with what you have and what you know, because you never know how your personality or what you have to say is going to inspire someone to be more than the sum of their parts, and to get them motivated to do something that they may have never thought they would be possible for.
That was good.
Yeah,
was
that
really
actually
good.
is
Yeah,
really good
that's
advice.
Very good advice.
Yeah.
What about you, Paul? You got any good advice for her?
You know, I would just say if you haven't been to Hopkinsville, you know, come in, check it out. I think Hopkinsville is full of some of the greatest people, the nicest people, people that will do things. You know, if a storm comes and knocks a tree on top of your house, you're going to have 4 or 5 people that live on the street come by with chainsaws and say, hey, what do we need to do? You know, there's a lot to be said about things like that, because there are a lot of people who live in cities that they wouldn't get that kind of, you know, friendly banter or attention or assistance. But, you know, I think it's a great place. I think, yeah, we've got challenges. We've got a lot of things that we need to work on. But I think if we get on the right track, and as she said, if people get involved, I mean, that's the number one thing. You have to be involved. Don't just sit on the sidelines and complain.
I was going to say complain and then not do anything
Right,
about it.
exactly. I mean,
yeah.
you can complain all day. You're really probably not even going to feel better when you get done. You probably feel worse after you get done complaining. So you know, you have to get involved, even if it's just something simple as a conversation with someone that lives next door to you, to say, hey, you know, is there anything that I could do to help you? You know, I noticed your yard hasn't been mowed in about 3 weeks. Do you need some help? I'll come over and mow it. I mean, those are the kinds of things that we see, you know, in Hopkinsville, and that's kind of how it's always been. And we need to kind of, you know, I guess people who come into the city and visit, if they're exposed to friendly things like that, I think that they would seriously consider making Christian County their next move, or their permanent, you know, retirement place.
And that's how you build community. Community is a lot of things. We talk about building community, but community is 2 people on a street. You know, your oikos, your sphere of influence, that's your community. We say we want to change the world. We're not out to change the entire world. We're out to change my sphere of influence. My 8 to 10 people, I have an impact on them, and each one of those has an impact on 8 to 10 people. That's how we change the world. You talk about neighbors helping neighbors. My neighbor wanted they put in a pool this past weekend. Great. Ahead of that, they were just like, you know, we really want a fence. Can we connect to your fence? I said, absolutely. Let's build a fence. So we built part of a fence for them. I got out there. I was like, hey, let's put in some sweat equity.
Nice.
Help a neighbor.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for anything in return. Let's just help. People need to stop being in it for what's in it for them. Let's just set that aside and say, I'm the person and you're the person and I care about you. Let me help you. You know, take a plate of cookies to your neighbor. You see them struggling. They're out trying to get their car to fix. You may not know anything about car mechanics, but YouTube has a lot of helpful videos. Help a neighbor, bake some cookies. You know, you see an ambulance come on the street. What's going on? You know, husband, wife, somebody went to the hospital. Here's a plate of cookies. Here's a pan of lasagna. You know, just reach out and let people know that you care. And that vibe translates to communication and conversation of people talking about it. And then guaranteed you're going to run into someone who's visiting. Oh, you live here? You're visiting? Oh, yeah. Have you been to this little place? You've been here. You've been there. Check this place out. And go from there.
Yeah.
Just, it's amazing. And people just need to share.
We did, when we first moved into our neighborhood, I think a month after we moved in, we had a block party.
There you go.
And we didn't, but across the street had a block party, and they invited us, and everybody in that.
Oh, that's so fun.
It is, and I thought, you know what, this was really cool. We haven't had one since, but I thought this was
one was enough.
Send me the address, please.
Right? What's enough? We don't need her back over here.
Yeah, we need more. We need more of those kind of things. We need more block parties.
The the one thing that I have noticed, now I've lived a lot of places. I've lived in Louisiana. I've lived in Southern California. I've lived in Northwestern Ontario. I've lived in a lot of places. I've lived in Kansas. The one thing that we've celebrated in some of the places that I've lived in was America's Night Out. When I've mentioned that here, people look at me, what is that?
Yeah.
Like we all
We were just kind of waiting for
You're
the
like-
explanation.
I know. So
We're looking at you like you have 4 heads. Okay?
So America's Night Out is actually a nationwide event held in August, right before school goes back in session.
Oh, okay.
Municipalities have America's Night Out. You get communities together, whether it's an HOA or a subdivision or a block, and that block would have activities for the people on that block, and it's all held on the same night. And you can go downtown, and there may
This
be.
is not like the purge, is it?
But that's a good idea.
Hey, free up some of the space.
We're building here. We need a hotel.
Sorry, you're in the way.
So America's Night Out, municipalities sometimes they will have at their downtown. They'll have the police and the fire EMS will come out and they'll pass out candy and they have balloons and some fireworks, and it's not like a huge summer salute type festival or things like that, but it is to bring the community together. And then certain blocks or neighborhoods, HOAs and such would get together for their area and they would have an event. And when you talk to the police department, you could maybe get McGruff the crime dog to come to your party, get the police to come to your party, bring the dog, bring the special car, that type of thing. And it gets the community out. You get to meet your neighbors. You get to deal with, interact with first responders and people like that and have a fun night, serve some hot dogs. I have done it for many years, and I always love that event. And I'm like, do you do America's Night Out around here? And people
So where'd you do it at? Where were you at when you
Southern
did it?
California does it. Florida will do it.
I lived in Florida, and I don't think I ever heard of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was a kid, so maybe it was really
So,
my
but it-
mom's fault.
Maybe
But it's
you
fun,
went and
there's
you just don't
swag.
remember.
There's all sorts of swag. You can sign up. Like I remember when we were doing it in California, it was a huge deal because we would sign up on the city website, and there was swag you could order and get planned out. Like
Wow.
it's
That's
so
really
much
interesting.
fun. But yeah, America's Night Out.
So did you bring this up and they just looked at you like we did a little while ago?
I've talked to people about it, and they've just looked at me like, well, we do trick or treating.
In October.
Well, that is getting out, and that could be called America's Night Out, but I'm thinking something a little different.
Sometimes we don't even do that on the actual
I know,
Halloween.
right?
No,
show,
I
you
know.
I know. I think I would be confused if I was a parent because Halloween. Even my mom, she's like, "When are they trick or treating?" I said, "Well, they're passing out candy. I think on Friday downtown." Well, when is trick or treating? I said, "I don't know." And I remember, I think it was last year or the year before, we had people at our door. The 28th, 29th, the 30th, the 31st. And I
We've
think
turned it into a
It
week-long
is the
adventure.
most asked question I feel like every year. People
yeah.
are like, "When is trick or treating this
It's
year?" And
crazy
it's like,
that
"When
people
is
have
Halloween?"
that.
Like,
31st,
don't-
Halloween.
And is it between the hours of 3 and 5, 4:30
Yeah,
and 7,
Just go till you don't want to get candy anymore. I don't.
6 and 11? Like when are we doing? I'm like, and then you turn the porch light off.
Yeah. They don't know
Okay.
that rule anymore.
don't
I
know that
think.
rule.
What's
Yeah.
going on here? Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm so confused. Like, yeah, trick or treating is the 31st. There may be events between the 28th and the 3rd of November, but get in your costume and take your pillowcase.
Even if it
Yeah.
rains. I don't care if it
Okay.
rains.
You don't get
snow,
no
we
whatever.
went in the
buckets.
rain.
It's not like a cute little bucket for you
No.
to go drink. It's a
It's
pillowcase.
because you got to get the
Pillowcase.
candy, you know.
It's a
You got to get
pillowcase.
all the candy.
And trick or treating is in regardless of what weather condition. I grew up
Right,
in northwestern
same.
Ontario, so one year I was a bunny rabbit. My mother, because snow was approaching and it did snow on Halloween, my mother made me a bunny costume to fit over my snowsuit.
That's
So that's
cool.
how I
like
went
that,
trick
yeah.
or treating.
That's smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
went years ago.
I just suffered in the cold. I never.
I
sorry.
I mean, I would trick or treat.
Shame on your mother.
Yeah.
I know
I mean,
where
we
she
didn't have
lives.
snow. Yeah. You know what? I think I actually know that neighborhood. You know where they hang. I've seen it.
I've seen it. That escalated quickly.
Now you got to call mom and warn mom about Jamie.
Hey, Mom, I maybe made you sound like a terrible mother, so I'm so sorry.
They're leaving Oak Grove
I
now.
love
Be
you.
there.
Oh,
That's too funny.
I can't wait to tell her to listen to this episode.
And I think trick or treating ought to be fun for the adults too. Last year,
Last
year I went. My son invited me out for trick or treating, so we went over to his buddy's house. Their whole subdivision was a crazy nightmare because this subdivision decided that everybody needed some kind of blow up kind of
Yeah.
fiasco in the front yard with lights.
Some of them do contests.
Yes.
Because I went to one that it was doing contests and it was similar to that.
Yeah, and then like.
And then you have a haunted house one.
My son's
in
buddy,
the neighborhood.
My son's buddy, they were serving hot dogs
Yep.
for everybody, soda pop for the children,
And
And
alcoholic
alcohol
beverages
for the
yes.
beverages.
We
alcohol
had
beverages.
Jello shots. No, she one upped it.
Jello shots.
Jello shots.
Jello.
We had 2 or 3 houses we went through that were trick-or-treating that they were doing like spiced cider. Like you could they had regular cider if the kids wanted some, but then they had spiced cider for the adults. And you could pick the alcoholic beverage you wanted to pour in there and you
I'm
did
up
it
in my
yourself.
game.
You need, yeah.
This
yeah.
is in Clarksville. I'm
This
going to
was in
Clarksville
Clarksville,
this
yeah.
year for
Yeah.
Halloween.
Magnolia Drive. Shout out to them neighbors.
But yeah, see, there's just sometimes it's just esprit de corps. I think sometimes we think, and I don't know how many times I've thought about pulling the grill around on Halloween and be like, hey, let's just grill a hot dog. You're walking by trick or treating. Hey, dude, I didn't buy
Yeah.
overpriced candy, but I've got an all beef hot dog. You want one? Self-serve ketchup and mustard. Help yourself. But even me, as confident as I am, I'm thinking, I don't know if people would like that. Like,
Oh, I would.
see, there you go.
I would.
Some people
I like food,
Some
though.
people would probably think it's a little sketchy. Like,
Maybe.
don't take candy or hot dogs from strangers.
It probably also depends on the neighborhood,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
where you're at. If there's a lot of people doing things like that, like there was 3 houses in this little loop that all had different types of alcoholic beverages for the adults. They had music going and different themed things, so it kind of felt normal by the time
I'm
we
a
got.
trendsetter, so I think we just start it
Oh, okay, yeah,
and then
yeah.
let people just follow on, and then next thing you know, I've created a tradition.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
so in the first year maybe a little sketchy, but then by like the second or third year, the whole neighborhood's gonna be
Yeah,
passing
they'll
out.
all get on board.
You
and
could do
think
the hot
that's-
dogs. Your neighbor could do the hamburgers. Somebody could do the chips. Somebody could, just.
And
have a
somebody can
whole-
do beer. Somebody can do wine.
Yeah, you got a
And
whole.
you've got all year to buy your stash.
Yeah, start now.
Yeah, start
Right
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I noticed last year some of the neighborhoods, they didn't even do, the ones that used to do it, they don't even do them they don't pass out candy anymore.
No.
It was really sad because
I
my
think-
son would go and take his kids and they go, and he'd say, Mom, we went there with, last year they had, everybody was handing out
Yeah.
candy. He said, not one person was handing
I
out candy
think
this year.
a huge decrease in trick or treating, not just people not handing out candy, but even trick or treaters. I mean, I feel like streets used to be packed with trick or treaters. Nowadays, it's dwindled down. But I think a lot of people are doing trunk or treats now.
Yeah, I was going to
It
say
feels
that, too.
safer,
But
or
those
it's
are
like
so
more.
disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not fun to go from somebody's trunk. I mean, it doesn't really feel any. I mean, taking candy from somebody's trunk, knocking on their door. I
Yeah,
feel
why
like
did I
both are
dress
pretty
up for
sketchy,
this?
Right,
Right.
exactly.
Like-
Yeah, there's nothing more sketchy than getting a Tootsie Roll from somebody's trunk.
I mean, yeah, like,
Think about it. Yeah. I enjoy trick or treating. I remember when my children were young, we lived in Florida, and we lived in an HOA, and my children took their pillowcases. They were like, "We need pillowcases." Well, we don't have a lot of money. Take a pillowcase. So 4 children took their pillowcases. They would come back. They would walk a street, and they'd all come back. And they dump their candy out. Mom, we don't like this, and we don't like this, and we don't like this. And my husband, bless his heart, God rest his soul, at the time, he would take the candy that the children didn't like. He would put that in a bowl, and then he would go sit at the front door with him and his dad.
that is probably the smartest thing, though, because it gets rid of it.
Candy
You know?
recycling.
Oh, goodness. I
And
never
I'd be
thought
like,
about that.
do you guys need more candy? No, we're just passing out what everybody didn't like. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And I'm just like, first of all, I think I'm mortified. But second of all, I'm like, this is great party planning.
I mean, yeah.
Perfect.
Or stretching that dollar.
Right, exactly. But yeah, I just think, you know, the conversations, it doesn't matter what it's about. Just get out, talk to people, meet your neighbor. Where can I help you? Where can I assist you? And, you know, hey, talk to people. And like I said, you may talk to a resident, you may talk to a visitor. You know,
You just never know who you're going to talk to.
you never know who you're going to be talking
know.
to. Just smile.
That's right.
Smile first.
Yeah,
And
that's
start
right.
a conversation.
Yep. I like that.
I
I
do
like
too.
that. Okay, what else do we got, you guys? Anything else we want to talk about?
I don't know. What can we talk
That was
about?
fun. That was
How
fun.
much time do we got?
Right?
Oh.
What time is it?
So you said that you were on council before.
Yes, ma'am.
Hopkinsville?
Yes, ma'am.
How long ago?
So, let's see, I guess it's almost 4 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's different now from Hopkinsville when you were council to the present right now?
Government is great. Taxation to a point is fine. But ultimately, tax dollars are resident dollars. And when you tax your population to the point of their lives being miserable and they don't want to reside in a place because they believe that government and or agencies or people in your community may or may not be sketchy or corrupt or whatever the terminology is they want to use, changes have to happen. So I've quietly sat back for 2 years, taken a speech class, looked at things, studied housing, studied economics, looked at history. Not my wheelhouse at all. My wheelhouse is cured in place pipe, manhole rehab, wastewater treatment plants, true infrastructure, not bridges and roads. And I saw that some people were doing things the correct way, some people weren't. And I just felt that residents, tourism, growth of Hopkinsville needed something a little more. And I was talking to one lady recently, and I said, you know, I said, that car in your driveway, did you just look at one car and buy that one car? She said, no, I looked at many cars. I said, well, as a candidate, please look at other options. Please, let's have a conversation. And that's where change happens, is you have a conversation. And like Paul had mentioned earlier, a lot of people just like to sit back and complain. And that's not just Oak Grove, Clarksville, Hopkinsville area. That is everywhere. People will want to complain. And when it comes to voting, that is your right. That is your God-given right. That is your privilege of living in America. That is your privilege of being a U.S. citizen to have the privilege to vote. So in the primary election is May 19th. There's early voting ahead of that. Get out and vote. But then there comes a point where if we have passed an election and you're still complaining, my first question is, did you vote? Did you vote for change? Did you vote? Did you allow your voice to be heard? And so many times I have heard, my voice doesn't matter. My vote doesn't count. Well, as loud as you complain and people react to that, your vote also matters. So if you and your 5 friends who are all complaining get out and affect change and have conversations, and you've all had conversations with the people in your sphere of influence, you can affect a bigger change. And I think people sometimes believe that they're not important enough, or they're not vocal enough, or they somehow feel less than what they are. And I so wish I could just instill a bit of self-confidence and emotional maturity in people to understand that when we sit around tables and have conversations, you take your feelings, put them in a box, and put them behind you. It's not about feelings. I'm about data and metrics and how does the economy move forward, moving tourism, moving a municipality to growth, moving it to stabilization. That's what matters. And so many times we get caught up in the minutia of things that absolutely don't matter. And if they do matter, they're a lesser degree of matter. we need to focus on what's important and how we work together. So that is something that really gets to me and causes me to be passionate about. Just get out there and participate, but participate in a valuable way. Don't just word vomit. Be constructive. Do things. And when I sat back and I looked, I thought, well, and I had a conversation with my mother, and I was like, oh, I don't know. And I just sat back. And then people came and knocked on my door, and people texted me and talked to me, and I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I reached out to a couple people because you need people to sign for you. And I was like, all right, it's the last day. Let's do it. So here we are.
Because you didn't want no more part of that, did you? When you did it, and then you just didn't want.
I got to the point when I was first elected. It was very. I spent the first 60 days of my first tenure as a city council person just running the streets and just boom, 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 boom. And I was doing things for people, and I was doing a lot of things, and I did a lot of great little things. And people thought, well, we don't see her, so we don't know if she's doing things. But I work on my circle, my oikos. That's how I change the world, and that's always been a tenet of mine. So that didn't equate to a lot of people. And so they were, well, we don't see her, we don't, and I'm just like, I'm doing things, I'm just not doing the big monstrous things. Because if I have a punch list, I'm going to take care of the little things, which are also important, that often get overlooked. So I would do those. And then I got to the point where I kind of got exhausted. I was just like, whoa, I need to just back off a little bit. So I was still doing great things and helping people. And then my dad got sick. My dad passed away. And that was very traumatic for me. And I dealt with that. And then I just told Mom, I said, you know, the election's coming up. We'll see what happens. And I was defeated. I am the type of person to understand that I'm humble enough to be replaceable. I'm just cocky enough to know it's a downgrade. So I spent the next couple of years of saying, well, look at me. Let's have some introspection here and look to see what about me and my personal life or my business life or how people view me. What can I do to improve myself? So I spent time doing that. And I spent time studying, reading, doing all that stuff. And I came back probably a little more prepared. Probably a little more, I'm the big dog in the fight, and let me take on the fight for you. Because I do that for people. Where I see a need, I ask someone, what can I do for you? How can I help you? And don't tell me no that I can't help you. Just lay it on the table. Let's look at the problem. Let's, again, have a conversation. How can I help you? So in recent weeks, I've been out there just working with people and helping people and meeting a need and saying, hey, I'm here. I'm not in it for accolades and FaceTime pictures and things like that. I want to genuinely help people and say, here we are. And I wasn't sure if my mother would be happy that I was running again. She was out of town. And then when I told her, she was like, oh, yay, I'm so happy for you. I was hoping you would. All right. Moms are always your biggest cheerleaders. And then when I was telling her about this, and I hand wrote my 30 pages of notes because I ran out of ink. Poor planning on my part. But it gave me an opportunity to practice my cursive. I give it to my mother, as I always do with everything. I was just like, hey, can you read this? She reads it. She's reading it. I'm sitting there talking to her. My mother, bless her heart, why aren't you running for mayor? Mom, I don't know. Don't know. However, that was my mother's comment. But I just told her, I just want to help people. I just want to be the voice of the people that people can genuinely rely on, that is there to help them. And you know, I was honored and blessed to help Paul when he had issues, and I've helped a lot of people since, whether I've been counsel or not, just with a lot of little things. And when you take a lot of little things, yeah, they're little things, but you take all those little things and put them together, that's an impact. And you know, I think that's how everything works in the world, be it economics or tourism or a lot of little things are impactful.
Very good. Very good. Nice. I like it. Lee, do you have questions?
Actually,
Not
I
today?
Not today. I had a new segment I wanted to try out.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's try it
Let's
out.
do
We
it.
are gonna do.
Gossip with the guest.
Gossip with the guest. I like it.
Do y'all have any gossip in Hopkinsville? Or?
Gossip in Hopkinsville.
There was a high-speed chase last
There
night.
we go.
I don't know if that's
High-speed
gossip, but I mean that seems to happen all the time nowadays. What's up with that?
What's up with that?
There was a I don't think it was a high speed rollover, but there was a rollover about a block and a half from my house one day.
Wow.
Yeah. I just come home on my motorcycle and I parked. Hey mom, I'm in the driveway, and then I heard screeching and a crash.
Oh, no.
I walked down to the
Wow.
corner and there was a car upside down in the ditch.
Oh,
You know what's crazy? This weekend, I went to the mall with Nikita and my wife, and we saw the carnival going on. The KC.
oh, so they are still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
They
okay.
were.
So
We
you-
were. Hey, we were there too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was on there Sunday.
I think I was there Saturday.
Okay.
Okay.
Must have just missed me.
Yeah.
But
By a whole day.
I saw a car rolled over, and I asked one of the workers. I said, "What happened here? I just went to go get a chicken kebab. What happened?" They said a cop was chasing them, and it was right by the fairgrounds in Clarksville.
I saw a picture of that circulating
Yes.
on
Oh,
Clarksville
wow.
chat. Yep.
Oh, wow.
And her car was like parked close to it. I was like, "Oh my god, let's get out of here."
Yeah. Before.
Wow.
Welcome to Clarksville, everybody.
Hey, we have a near location that you can relocate to. It's called Hopkinsville.
Yeah.
There you go. Much safer.
Much safer.
Yeah. They have high speed chases. Clarksville's
Rollovers.
got,
They're on the
know,
street.
It's all good. It just goes to show it's everywhere, right?
Exactly.
Well, I think Oak Grove had a couple of chases too, or
Yeah.
somebody went through a house. Did I see that?
I saw it
Did
the other
some
day.
woman
Yes.
go
Yes.
through a
Yes.
house?
somebody did, yeah.
I
Yes.
didn't know if you wanted me to bring that up either.
Yeah. Yeah. In Clarksville,
That's
somebody
the-
went through a Planet
That's
Fitness.
the beautiful thing of editing.
trying to
hear it
fit
and we'll
this
go
car
like-
in there.
I guess they went right through the side of the building in the
Oh,
Planet
my
Fitness.
goodness.
I was like, oh, that's,
Oh Lord!
how do you do that?
Lordy, Lord.
I know a realtor.
I know. Want to relocate?
Oh, my
Oh
goodness.
Lord! Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of good gossip, I guess I'll throw out there, and I have absolutely nothing to do with this project. But there's a guy that's local in Hopkinsville that's building a tiny home community.
A tiny home community.
Yeah,
Oh,
which
that's
is
cute.
it used to be a trailer park. A lot of the trailers were really old, and you probably would never turn down that street unless there was a really good reason to, because it was pretty rough. But they've moved all that stuff out, and they're trying to bring some affordable housing. This guy's, I'm not going to mention his name. I'm not endorsing anyone, but he's, financing it himself if you're interested in buying one of these. So I think it's a good thing.
Wow.
And I hope that we see a lot more of that. I've talked to several clients of mine who have, wanted to do similar projects. And I'm not a fan of tiny homes personally. I just have a lot of stuff. And while I think it would be great, it would be great to be able to live that simple life. There's just no way I could do that.
Hey,
but for some people, I've sold a lot of tiny homes. And people who really like that, and they don't want to have a ton of clothes and dishes and electronics, and they just want to have simple, small things and a bed and a roof, and so for certain people, I think that's great.
So what size? What square footage is we go be these tiny
Tiny
homes?
I know that there are some 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and he has some all the way up to 3 bedroom. So square footage, I can't tell you. I haven't looked that close.
Tiny
at
homes
it.
have
Wow.
gained in popularity.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Tiny
definitely.
homes, usually the smaller ones, they are about 400 square feet. I've seen them 400 square feet, anywhere up to about 1,200, maybe 1,500
Now,
square feet.
is it called the Parks in Hopkinsville next to the stadium? What are those? Are
Oh.
those homes or are those?
Those are I know which one.
yeah.
Oh,
Those
by
are,
the-
those
by
are
the
little
stadium.
apartments. Those are one
Or
and
apartments?
I think they're just one and
And
two
two bedrooms?
I know they've built I want to say they built 2 phases, and I saw a sign the other day that another phase is coming.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean they're putting them up quick.
Yes.
Quick. And then there's some more that's from the bypass. Like there's the Bruce, and then you have
Yes.
yeah,
I know where those homes
yeah,
are.
those are too. They're building quite a
They're-
bit too.
They're 2 3-bedroom homes. They're anywhere from 1,100 to.
They look like duplexes to
think
me
1,300
at
square
first
feet.
when I looked at them.
I think some of them are connected.
Yeah.
And some are
So
not.
not. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But
So
yeah,
there is some building going
Yeah.
on and some
and entry level homes like that, those are great way to build
Mm-hmm.
communities because Paul, myself, maybe us around the table, we're not ready for a tiny home like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you may have retirees or maybe single soldiers
Right.
or married couple soldiers or soldiers that have just separated from the military. They're looking for entry level housing. That's a great way to
Yeah.
get started. You're not looking for the 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,700 square foot house
Right.
with 3 stories to look after. You're like, good Lord,
Yeah.
I just left the military. I can barely look after myself.
Yeah.
So something like that those are great,
Yeah.
and they are pretty much ready to go, from what I
Yep.
understand. They're just,
Nice.
they're
Look up
movable.
this-
I mean, you
yeah,
can
they're
even
movable.
move it.
Yeah.
What?
I've seen them on
Shit.
wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, it really the ones in the front, they really look like a shed that you would buy from like the Amish guy that's set
Wow.
up everywhere. They have that barn kind of look.
But that barn dominium look is
It's popular right now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Popular.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely hot.
Yeah.
But he's got all different sizes, and I like I said, I haven't explored it that much, but there's enough gossip on it about Facebook and about it on Facebook that I have looked at them, and I've driven by, and I mean, for some people, that's a solid option. Look, when I got into real estate, my goal is, I do this for money. I love real estate. I don't do it for free, but you get a huge satisfaction out of helping someone get a house, and especially the younger people who first time buyers, or
Right.
even somebody who's older and they've never bought a house before. You get kind of a warmth in your heart.
There you
when
go, Scarlett.
The little-
we got
the
we
little
got him
fluffy-
right there.
And I mean, and it's not fluff. I'm not trying to sell myself on the podcast or anything. It truly is a great perk of the job to be able to help
Yeah.
somebody. And a lot of I've actually, you were talking about smaller families. The very first house that I ever listed and sold was a quote unquote tiny home. It was about 800-ish square foot. And it was a active duty guy and his wife, and they didn't have children, and it was 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and kind of open concept kitchen and living room, and it was perfect for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've sold several like that. It's affordable, and it's not the barracks.
Right.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it works
Right.
out great.
Yeah.
And you cannot always get post housing. I mean,
Oh, you
s-
stuck on a waiting list
Right.
too.
sometimes we
for
think, oh, you're an active duty soldier and you've got a family. Oh, post housing's available. Not always available. My son stationed in Fort Benning, he and his wife, they were waiting for a house due to his rank. Based on your rank, you get certain houses of levels and things like that. And there was nothing available for him. And he and his wife, they're waiting for a house. They've got a young son waiting. And finally a house became available, and post leadership, like, here's your house. Well, they moved into a house that is above his rank type of house, but that's what he got. But then there are other people that just wait and wait and wait, and then they're looking for housing and they can't find it.
so they have to move off post,
Yep,
either
have to
into an apartment or a rental house.
Yep. And
So.
BAH is set for based on your rank, and
Right.
you don't want to use all your BAH for all your housing and
Right.
all those expenses.
Right.
It's nice that you've got that, but let's not chew it up with a big monstrous house payment. So if you've got a family and small family, and you want to find something that's entry level, then here you go.
There you go.
Yep.
There you have it. Okay, what else, Lee? Is this it? Is that all you got? Is that all you got?
Yeah, what kind of gossip do you have? Something you got something over
Good, a
there?
little bit bad. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard gossip about me, but probably shouldn't.
want to thank you both so much. This has been so enjoyable. We really loved having you for a guest. And we will be right back, and Scarlett will let us know where to listen to us at. So, right back. And we're back. Okay, Miss Scarlett. Like Gone with the
Okay.
Wind, Miss Scarlett.
Yes, that's me. So, obviously, if you're listening right now, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, share it with all your friends. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can also share that. But if you just want the audio version, we're on Spotify, we're on Podbean, we're on all the local podcasts on all of the apps.
All it. Yeah.
And then we also share it to our Facebook. We share the YouTube video on our Facebook as well. So.
So again, thank you so much for joining Gossip in the Grove. We loved having you. So thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. We really appreciate it. It was
Yep.
great.